Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Westland Community Engagement 2026 Black History Month series. My name is Melody Hines, the Board Secretary of the Wayne Westland Community Schools, and I'm pleased to serve as your host. We have here Honorable David Perkins, Chief Judge Pro Temp of the Wayne County Probate Court, along with Debra Fowlkes from the Westland Planning Commission. And we also have Alicia Jackson, who is the founder of Dime Above the Line. Thank you all for being here. And one episode, we will take a look at a few challenges that have faced the Black community. And we also have ways to continue to address them. So we will also highlight some of the outstanding achievements that were made by the community and your lessons that they provide us.
Okay.
So our first question, Honorable Judge Perkins, I would like to begin with you. Is it justifiable for some people to say that Black professionals such as ourselves are frequently need to put in more effort than individuals from other backgrounds to gain the recognition we rightfully deserve?
Unfortunately, in today's society, it's still true because frequently Black professionals and other minority professionals, they don't get the grace that other professionals get. And more often than not, the Black professionals, you probably well know, you have to work twice as hard or sometimes 3 times as hard to get a fraction of the recognition. And there's a number of reasons for that. But the reality is that particularly in this day and age, it still exists. And we cannot get lulled into a sense of false security that it doesn't exist, because the reality is that it does, and that we must also have to set goals and achievement ranges for ourselves. We have to constantly think in terms of how do we become better? How do we keep achieving? And if we don't, history is going to repeat itself. And we can see by a lot of the things that are going on in today's society, unfortunately, to a large extent, history is repeating itself.
That is so true, so true. Really good explanation on that. And Ms. Debra Fowlkes, we've heard repeatedly that the wealth of many Americans is often linked to property ownership. And yet the Black community is historically faced barriers in having limited access to affordable home ownership. So what step would you take to eliminate the barriers?
Well, it all starts at home ownership. A lot of our Black families live in rental or possibly apartments and that type of thing, so that they're not aware of the steps that it would take to actually afford a home and to purchase a home. So we need a lot more education out there to the Black families, or any families for that reason, to learn how to go out and buy a home, because you've got to save money, you've got to learn how to budget, a lot of things you need to learn before you can even start buying a home. And I was looking at some statistics from 2023, and it shows that Black families own about 44% of the homes in this country, and that's not very much. White families are at 74%, Asian families 63%, and Hispanic families at 51% of the homes sold. So we have a long way to go. We need to start educating our homeowners, or rather our families, about what you need to do. We need to have schools also, if they can, put curriculum on how to buy a house, how to build your wealth, how to save your money. That would go a long way toward families being able to afford a home, because no one's told them. You just can't go out and buy a house. You've got to have the money saved. You've got to have a good credit report. You've got to search for the home that you like, and you've got to train your children that we are on a mission to become better. So we need your help as children to own a home. A lot of kids just don't know. All they know is that they live in an apartment, and that's good. They live in a rental home, that's good, but they're not told that the ultimate is to have your own home and enjoy living your life there. So.
That's so true. A lot of people don't understand the importance of home ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have Miss Alicia. Employment goes beyond being means to pay for our necessities.
Yeah.
It plays a significant role in providing dignity and a sense of community. Could you provide one or two examples of job creation initiatives that positively impact the Black communities and society in general?
Yes, I would love to start off by talking about that employment is definitely more than just a check. It's a means to gain support, and it really builds for our opportunity to create change in our communities. So one example that I would love to use is the Detroit at Work program. So that is an amazing program throughout the city of Detroit that hosts work development programs, networking opportunities, job creation for the city of Detroit, but also for Black voices and residents. And I believe this is a great program, and I really would love to see it branch off into every city because it not only supports Black residents, but every resident in general. And in order to see growth in our communities, whether it's for the adults, but also the children, it's a whole cycle that needs to create change. And I really believe that that program is an amazing thing for the city of Detroit.
Yes, that is an amazing program,
Yes.
Detroit at
Yes.
Work. I've known quite a few people have utilized that program. It's been quite successful. How does socioeconomic challenges we encounter today compare to those faced by our ancestors 50 to 100 years ago? And what are some lessons that we have learned with those challenges? Anyone?
Would you repeat that again, please? I'm sorry.
Yes. So how does the socioeconomic challenges we encounter today compare to those faced by our ancestors 50 to 100 years ago? And what are some of the lessons that we've learned from those challenges?
I believe that the challenges have gotten more sophisticated and how they come about to our various communities. And what we have to learn is resilience. Those who came before us were resilient. Those who came before us understood the struggle. And along the way, some of us have lost the importance of the struggle in terms of how to be resilient and what needs to be done. There's redlining, there's all kinds of things going on. And in this environment right now, it appears to be the Wild West, and everything is wide open.
You know, that made me think of something. A lot of our Black people have legacy property. And what I mean by that is property that's acquired by our ancestors, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, and it's just sitting there. And then they decide, well, let's just sell all this property and do whatever they want to do with the money. But you're losing that legacy that our ancestors fought so hard to get. If your grandparents or great-parents had property and it's all passed down to you, I think that you should keep this property. It maybe you might want to upgrade it or whatever, but to just sell it and get rid of it, it just defeats the purpose of having the property as legacy property.
And one of the other things, dovetailing what you were saying, is that often in terms of legacy property, people lose it because they don't pay the taxes on it. And so what their ancestors fought to get is lost to the tax man, and that's unfortunate.
That is so
Yes.
true.
That is true. I have property in the South that's all been deeded all to me because everyone's gone but me. And I have to make sure I keep up with those taxes because if not, there's builders that are just waiting in line to get that property, and I refuse to give it up like that. So
That's so true. How do you feel about that, Miss Alicia?
To add on, I would just say that education and knowledge is key. Coming from a younger generation myself, I see that it was a lot that I had to teach myself. My parents, of course, I'm very grateful for everything that they've taught me. But, in the Black community, there's also some things that we kind of come short of when it comes down to whether it's economic development, college, just being able to reach those steps in order to get to a higher purpose, what we want to reach. Sometimes it's given to like the younger generation to pick up the pace and, teach ourselves. So I definitely, I know as for myself, I always tell myself that it's really important that if I can, to teach my younger, cousins, family members, classmates, so that we can move forward. We can continue to pick up the stride that our ancestors left us. So,
Yeah, that's very important to
Very.
pass down the legacy. We lose a lot of that. And during Black History Month, it's vitally important to talk about the remarkable achievements that Black people continue to make. Could each of you share a specific way that you have made a difference in society? And let me start with you, Judge Perkins.
Wow. Thank you. Thanks a lot. But in any event, I think I've made a difference on several levels. One, in terms of education and mentoring. I've mentored many young people, and I'm proud to say that many of them have gone on to do some fabulous things. Some I've mentored off of the very dockets that I had, and they were in front of me, and I took them in and mentored that young person or those young people. I'm proud of the fact that I've been an advocate for men's health, particularly as a person that's gone through the journey of prostate cancer, and I've reached out and this is so important in the Black community to have open discussions about this disease, and I've been doing that at different health forums, and in terms of achievements, I think it's been important. I've been, I think, a role model in being out in the community, whether I was a referee, whether I was a judge in 36, or whether being a judge in probate. My whole professional career has been to work in the community and shed light on topics that people don't often talk about. And I thank God for being able to do that. So that's in a nutshell.
That's amazing, and what you do is so important, especially the mentoring in the community. I really thank you for sharing that story with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Ms. Debra Fowlkes?
Okay. I started out my career, I guess, in Westland as being appointed to the school board years and years ago as the first Black female on the Wayne Westland School Board. And I still see kids that are my children's ages also that come up to me and say, you gave me my diploma on stage. And to me, that was the most wonderful thing to hand them that diploma, knowing that especially the Black kids and the friends of my son and daughter, handing them that diploma, knowing that they worked hard for this diploma, and I was there to support them each and every time. Now being on the Planning Commission, I see people, and they wonder about what's going on over here, what's going on over there, so I'm able to tell them, especially if I know all about it, what's going on in the city. I also mentored, which was a while ago also, young people, young girls at risk. Most of them came from broken homes, some of them were homeless and all of that, but Wayne Westland has a wonderful program for those children. So, and I see some of those kids, and I don't remember who they are, and I certainly can't
They
tell
remember
them.
you.
They remember me. Like, you helped me, you helped me buy makeup, you helped me buy a dress for, homecoming, and you listened to me. So I think back on that, and I think that I started out, and I'm doing a good job, trying to help the kids in this area. So I'm going to continue to do what I can do.
Yes, and being a board member myself with the Wayne Westland Community Schools, it has been a change in the demographics. And
Yes.
And then that feeling of giving the kids their diploma is just like the best feeling. It's like you're preparing the kids for the future. So thank you so much for that.
Okay.
And Miss Alicia?
Yes, for myself, I would say that I'm still, it's a cycle. I'm still pushing towards reaching, being able to support my community. So I grew up in Westland my whole life. I just graduated college. So my dream has always been to come back home and help my city. I've been in many city council meetings. I've been, to different events in the community. And I speak with a lot of people from very different backgrounds. And something that I saw that we could improve on is connecting resources to our community residents.
Yes.
When it comes down to economic development, there are many small business owners who don't feel the support. And sometimes there's this, I don't know what to even call it, but it's a thing where we believe that we can go and support other communities and other cities. But if we continue to outpour our talent to other cities, it kind of sends a signal to Westland that, hey, well, what's here, And we do have great talent here. We have a lot of people with dreams and hopes of either being business owners or creating nonprofits. And so for me, taking my education, I just really want to create Dime Above the Line, which is a workforce pipeline program. So right now I'm in the works of, it's all about the people. So, I can say what I want. I want to create a networking day, but I need to speak to the people first, make sure that their voices are heard, and so that we can make this work, because it's not about me, it's about our community. So that's what I'm working on now. So this can be in the plans now. I hope it can come this fall, but Dime Above the Line is definitely here to stay in Westland.
And I think that's an amazing organization. And I've noticed too, there are a lot of minority businesses in Westland. So again, like you were saying, if we all stick together, we can build the community even better. So thank you so much for that.
Yes.
And okay, so before we conclude our conversation, is there anything else you would like to add? Honorable Perkins?
I think as professionals, we have to do a better job of educating the young people and tearing some of the walls down. And instead of having walls, we have to continue to build bridges. And I think as the older professionals, it's incumbent upon us to make sure the younger folks understand the journey and that we're all in it together. And as the least goes, so do the rest of us, because we are all connected, whether we understand it or not.
That's true.
Yes.
And Ms. Fowlkes?
Just like Judge Perkins was saying, you just can't go out and buy a home. It takes planning, it takes savings, it takes talking to people, and along with even buying a business, you just don't go out and buy a business. Our people must learn that you have to put in the work to afford a home or a business or something like that. And again, when we talk to our children, they always say, "Oh yeah, you don't know. You don't. What do you know?" I do know. I've lived it all. I grew up in the South, and I went through the entire Jim Crow and all of that. So now that I'm here in Michigan, when I've been here quite some time, I look back on what I went through at that time, and it amazes me that I actually was able to get through that and to offer the wisdom that I've gained over the years to our citizens.
And Ms. Alicia?
Oh, yes. Just going off of that, I would say that something that happens every Black History Month is the build-up. And one thing that I would love to just share is that it's not a month. It's a continuous thing that's all year round. So, just support Black-owned, support, businesses, people with vision, with dreams, and you can't stop. You got to keep going and keep pushing forward for what you believe in, and it will come to pass.
Yes.
Yes, and you know what? There's one more question that's super important that I almost forgot to ask. As someone involved in education, I feel compelled to ask this question. Are schools across the country adequately teaching Black history? And is it right to say Black history is an American history? Judge Perkins?
Me again. In terms of schools, I don't know if Black history has ever adequately been taught in schools in terms of, because Black history encompasses so much. And people have to understand that Black history is not just about Black history, it's also about world history, it's about American history. Because wherever there is a Black person, they've been involved. And I remember I was criticized at one point as a referee for having some of the children, the young people that came in front of me, to do essays about famous leaders, be it Malcolm X, be it Madam C.J. Walker, and criticized to the point where a lawyer, not of color, who had her particular client one time, and that same client was not of color, had to do the same thing because it's for all people to understand. And she criticized me because, and took it to another step because she said, well, you know, I was being prejudiced. What is some woman who invented some well, she didn't use the word daggone, some curling iron have to do with anything? Why does my client have to look up anything about some woman who invented a curling iron? And they were making a reference to Madam C.J. Walker, who was one of the first self-made millionaire black women in this country, phenomenal entrepreneur, and did so many other things. But she was reduced and this wasn't too long ago, to somebody who just invented a curling iron. So it's not just about Black history. And there's been connections in the Black community with so many other communities during our struggle and during our movements. And we all need to be apprised of that. So it's not just Black history. Yes, it is American history. It's all of our history. Anyway.
And Ms. Fowlkes, being a fellow board president of the Westland Community Schools, how do you feel about that as well?
It's definitely not just Black history. It's American history. It's our history from what, the 1700s on through the present. And to say that Black history should only be celebrated in the month of February, I think it's February, is wrong. Black history should be celebrated and throughout the year. You know, it just puts us in a little part of the world, you know, the United States. We can only celebrate this one month. After that, no one cares about it. And I do think that is wrong, and we need to continue to show our children and show our, you know, city and all of that, all the things we need to do with Black history.
And finally, Miss Alicia, you do so much in the workforce development. How do you take on this subject?
Yes. You know, going off of what you both have said, yes, Black history is definitely American history. It's history in general. And, you know, just thinking about my own experiences and other classmates' experiences, it's just interesting to know what we know, but then see the history be suppressed, you know, through the education. It's something going into the classroom, you know, and you know, your history, but then you never hear about it in the books, or you never hear about it, you know, as a dialogue. So it's something. I think that's an area that really needs to be worked on, not only for the future, but just the present. You know, our upcoming children definitely needs to be educated on that. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's so true. And those are really eye-opening answers. And I'm sure that our viewers can relate to that experience. I thank you all for being here today to discuss an insightful topic. Until next time on WLND, Municipal TV, stay engaged and keep up fostering good neighbors and dignity.